I'm going to be ranking all 8 of the Kayali fragrances that are currently available, including the brand new release, which is called Invite Only Amber 23. I have mostly just these little like sample or travel size sprays from Kayali, but I do have one in a full bottle as well, which is Vanilla 28. This was a blind buy, but I've had it for a little while now. And the rest I've acquired more recently, and I've been playing around with them, and now I'm going to share my thoughts. Before I get started, I would love to hear from you all. If you've smelled any of these, which ones are your favorites? Which ones maybe you don't like? Leave comments down below. Also, if you want to guess which ones would be my favorites, maybe my top 2 or 3, I'd love to see your guesses below as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. In last place, number 8, and I will tell you, I don't like this fragrance. I actually don't really like the bottom 2. So in last place is Utopia Vanilla Coco 21. Now, let me explain why I don't like this, because there are a few reasons why. So first of all, the Utopia Vanilla Coco is not unique. I've smelled this very, very similar fragrance many times before. This is like a white floral coconut vanilla combo that many brands have an example of. So that's kind of the first reason I don't like it, is because it's just very much like many other fragrances I've smelled before. Also, the white florals in this, which I would guess I can pick up, I think, jasmine and tuberose, maybe gardenia as well. It kind of smells like a combination of like heady white florals and creamy white florals. So that's kind of my guess as to what specifically is in here. But I get those, and I get a little bit of the coconut. I get some of the vanilla. That's mostly it. It's a pretty simple, straightforward fragrance in my opinion. But the issue, besides it not being very unique, is that it gives me a headache. And I don't particularly love the way a lot of white florals smell, especially when they do go a little bit more heady and give me a headache, obviously. So yeah, I don't find this particularly pleasant, and I'm gonna quit smelling it now because I am already getting pressure right here, and I don't want to get a full-blown headache just from testing this. So anyway, that is in last place. It's Utopia Vanilla Coco 21. By the way, before I move on, I think the perfumer for most of these is Gabriella Cillario. Erin from Erin Sullivan Beauty, I'll link her below. She was able to do some digging and found that she's the perfumer from Firmenich that at least did multiple of these. I know the new one has, like the newest release has a new perfumer, but I think maybe the ones before that were all made by Gabriella. I'm not positive, but anyway, she definitely made at least some. So let's move on to the number 7 position. And that one is another one I don't really care for. It is called Elixir 11. And it's for some reason the only one that comes in a different color bottle for the minis. Like all the rest are just clear like this. Anyway, this one is a rose patchouli fragrance. Like that's what I get right away. But it's also like a bit fruity, and I think there might be some white florals in here as well. To me, this one smells very perfumey. I know that's not a particularly descriptive term since all of these are perfumes, but kind of like when you think of maybe a little bit older style fragrance. Yeah, I don't know. It's not my favorite. I don't particularly like it. But I would guess again that in addition to the rose and patchouli I can pick up, there are perhaps some other white floral or other florals that I think are white florals, because it still kind of bothers me a bit. But anyway, that's Elixir 11, and it's just definitely not for me. All right, so those are the only 2 I don't like. The rest I do like to some extent. And in the number 6 position is this one here. It is called Citrus 08. And to me, this is a pretty simple citrus fragrance. It's pleasant, but nothing like remarkable. And so that's why it's in this position here. I think it smells like grapefruit. I'm sure there's bergamot in it. There could be other citruses as well. And then I think this one has a little bit of a rhubarb note in it that I can pick up. And then I would guess there's probably some like light white musks, like clean musk in here. And maybe some florals, like some, I can't exactly pinpoint what it is, but it does smell like there's a touch of floral in here. And I like it fairly well. Like I said, it's pretty simple, nothing like groundbreaking, but I find it pleasant. So it does land in the number 6 spot. I like it, but I would not buy a full bottle. In the number 5 spot is one that I originally thought was going to place higher, because when I first sprayed it and kind of in the air, I was like, ooh, I really like this one. But then when I actually wore it, so I've worn all these at least once, by the way, but when I actually wore this, it kind of bothered me. And maybe it was like I put on too much, but then also I've sprayed it since then, and there's something in this that kind of bothers me. It doesn't give me a headache, but it just kind of makes me feel weird, and it seems a little bit scratchy. So the one I'm talking about that's in number 5 is Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper 25. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely like a rose saffron, but kind of goes in like the rose oud territory, but it's like rose saffron combo with pink pepper, obviously, because it's in the name, but there's a little bit of woodiness to it. Honestly, like to me, it does smell maybe more like saffron than oud, but I've mentioned this before that sometimes with saffron and oud, I don't know, like maybe because they show up at both together in a lot of fragrances, sometimes it's hard for me to like pinpoint exactly like if they're both in there or only one or the other. Anyway, that's what it smells like to me. It kind of reminds me of like Oud Satin Mood from MFK, or what's the other one? The Nina Ricci Rose Extase Absolute in the black bottle. Kind of reminds me of those style fragrances. I do think that there is maybe a bit of vanilla in here. It's maybe something a little bit sweet, but overall, like I said, there's something in it that's like a little bit fuzzy or scratchy. These are, I know, weird words to describe a fragrance, but something in there that just kind of irritates me when I wear it. And actually, like as I was wearing it, I was like, oh, I hope I'm not bothering anybody, because it was bothering me. So I like the way it smells sort of overall, but I would not be able to wear this on a regular basis. So that's kind of why it landed in the number 5 position. The number 4 spot goes to another one that seems a little bit scratchy or rough around the edges to me, and that is the new release. It's called Invite Only Amber 23, and the perfumer for this one I could find, and it is Elias Urmanidis, I think is his name. I'm not familiar with his work, but also I believe works for Firmenich. And this one, like I said, I like it, but there's something about it that's just not quite right. So I've seen some comparisons between Invite Only and some fragrances that I really love. For example, I've seen it compared to Kilian's Angel Share, Tom Ford Lost Cherry, Hermes Amber Narguilé, some Parfum de Marly fragrances that I like as well. But honestly, I don't like this anywhere as much as I like those. This just, to me, it kind of seems like it's in that style of some of the fragrances that people have compared it to, but not done nearly as well. So the main notes that I get from this one, obviously there's some sort of an amber accord, maybe a bit of a vanillic base with it. I would say there's definitely a cinnamon or spicy, I think it's cinnamon, note in here. And there's some tobacco, like a cherried tobacco, that kind of thing. So I see the comparisons to some of these other fragrances that people are mentioning, but like I said, this one just does not do that combo of notes nearly as well as some of the other ones do. It didn't last very long on my skin. A lot of these didn't last like a crazy long time, but this one really seemed to be fleeting. I kind of like it. I like the opening more, but as it dries down, it just, again, it bothers me a little bit because it just seems rough around the edges. It doesn't seem like it's executed as well as some of these other fragrances that I own that are to some extent a bit similar. So anyway, Invite Only Amber 23, definitely not buying a full bottle. I can see where some people would really like this, and I know that, for example, a lot of people really like the Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper, but both of these, just there's something about them that doesn't seem quite right to me, and I'm definitely not getting bottles of either. So that is my number 4. Let's move into my top 3 though, and from this point forward, I would say I actually do quite like all of these / love. At least the number 1 spot I definitely love. And the other 2 I really like and maybe would consider buying full bottles. In the number 3 spot is a fragrance that I actually didn't think I would like at all, but I quite like it. It is called Deja Vu White Flower 57. And this one again is a white floral fragrance, but this one doesn't really seem to give me a headache. And I just find the scent profile more pleasant than the Utopia Vanilla Coco. With this one, it's mostly about florals, in my opinion. I think there's vanilla in here too. And to be honest, I would say it's a pretty similar combo of white florals. Again, it does smell like tuberose, maybe gardenia, maybe some jasmine, but not as heady as it is in the other one that they have with the white florals. There might also be something fruity in here, but not coconut. It's different. It's definitely different. Like the Utopia one is more of that kind of traditional white floral coconut beachy scent that you get with vanilla. And this one is more of a straight up white floral, but it has a creaminess to it. It has a richness about it. Really pretty fragrance. I don't think I would buy a full bottle, but I certainly enjoy wearing it when I do, and I'll probably just keep this and use this up and then be done with it. The number 2 spot goes to one that I am considering buying a full bottle of because I do quite enjoy it. However, I do think it's pretty simple. It is called Musk 12. And in general, I suppose these fragrances are meant to be layered. So to some extent they are simple, but this one is definitely a pretty straightforward musk fragrance. So I'm not quite sure it warrants the price. However, I really love the way this smells. It smells fantastic. It's like white musk. I do think that there might be a little bit of like a sweet, not too sweet, but a little bit of a sweet vanilla to it. I would say there's a light touch of florals, a little bit of, maybe it's like a creamy sandalwood. It's some sort of a woody base to it, but it seems a little bit creamy, so I guess sandalwood. But yeah, it's mostly really nice, beautiful, clean white musk. And so, like I said, I don't necessarily know that I would need to spend the money to get a Kayali fragrance like this when I already have things like, for example, the Kiehl's Original Musk. That one's a little bit more animalic than this, but there are other white musk fragrances that are at a lower price point than this one, or that you can get on sale at least, and these, they don't really go on sale. But yeah, I think it's beautiful. I think it's fantastic. I would recommend this, especially if you don't have a nice clean musk fragrance yet, but that one is my number 2 spot, which means, it's probably not gonna be a surprise to anybody, that the number 1 spot goes to the one that I blind bought, and lucky for me, it ends up being my favorite. That is Vanilla 28. So Vanilla 28 is this really nice, delicious, but slightly floral vanilla. There's like a brown sugar quality to it. I do think there's a bit of tonka in this one. I would say that there are some light musks in here as well. But overall, I get mostly like a brown sugar vanilla combo with a touch of florals. I think it's beautiful. It's, again, not necessarily especially complex, but it's done really, really well. And you definitely could layer this with a ton of fragrances if you wanted to give them a nice rich vanilla base. So yeah, I do recommend this one, even though it is, again, very simple, because it just smells so good. Like, this is a really pleasant vanilla, and it's not just vanilla. Like, it's not just that plain, like, sweet vanillin kind of thing that you get in some fragrances. This one definitely does have at least a little bit of character to it and seems more well developed than a lot of the other very simple vanillas out there. So this one, again, is called Vanilla 28. It is my top pick for Kayali fragrances, but like I said, I do really like the musk as well, and that's the other one that I really would consider getting a full bottle of. All right, so those are my thoughts on the Kayali fragrances. Again, I would love to hear which ones are your favorites. I know probably some people like the Utopia one, and I'm sorry I don't, but white florals give me headaches in many cases, and that is one. But if that's your favorite, let us know down below. That will help other people, because mine is just one opinion, and there are many opinions out there to be had. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If so, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.